Hello, everybody, and welcome to Machtails from the Cantina live. We are live. It is January 5th. It is the 12th day of Christmas. Do you still have your Christmas decorations up? I am in the middle of taking all of that down. We got a great show for you tonight, and we have a lot to get through. This is executing episode number 66 tonight. We are celebrating our 4th anniversary this month, and a huge shout out to producer Matthew Rooney for just saying, hey, we got to get the next show going next week. Rankin historian Rick Goldschmidt is here. We missed him on the last show simply because he was super busy packing and shipping out his latest book. It did very, very well this holiday season. He's here again for, I believe it is his 3rd appearance on Mocktails from the Cantina. I want to invite you to take advantage of the link right now in the YouTube thread only. If you go to youtube.com, you're watching this show, watching it on the replay, there are only a small handful of free gifts. Yes, on the 12th day of Christmas, I am giving you 1 month free of Mocktails from the Cantina. We are celebrating our 5th anniversary this year, and I cannot thank my producers and my Patreon supporters enough for all the hard work that they do. Yes, the garage band of Star Wars content here on Mocktails. We had no live show intro. It's just a little bit too much work for the amount of time and energy that I could spare tonight. But I have a great show for you guys tonight. Without further ado, I want to bring on Brother Rich Brendel, who is always here for a cheer and a beer segment, as well as some great therapy, as he always provides to not only myself. I mean, there are a lot of producers producing this show financially, and I cannot thank you enough. But people like specifically Matthew Rooney and Rich Brendel, I feel like they are the ones that gave me a kick in the ass as we're coming up on the 5th year anniversary of Mocktails from the Cantina. And they're steering me in the right direction to keep this show going for this intimate audience that we have here. Rich, welcome back to the show. As always, you're definitely no stranger. What are you drinking? What are you raising your glass for tonight?
You know, I did something a little bit different tonight because we're all taking down the decorations. It's the 12th day of Christmas, and we're kind of we've been kind of burning the candle at both ends, you know, for the holiday season. I got some holiday beer. This is Shiner's Holiday Cheer. But because Christmas is coming to an end, I decided to smoke it a little bit.
Hey, you got to smoke Shiner Christmas beer.
Yeah, I got to smoke Shiner Christmas.
Now you didn't literally roll it and smoke it. You literally put your smoker on top of the pint glass.
Yep. So burning the Christmas season.
Hey, amen to that. What are we drinking? What are we raising our glass for?
Yeah. So even though the holiday is over, the beer is still left over.
Hey, amen to
that.
Cheers, man. Happy New Year to you. Hey, Brother Rich, we will get back to you shortly. We got Rick Goldschmidt coming on right now, and we will be here with you and Matthew Rooney, and maybe I got to put a leash on Sean Hines because he loves to talk, loves to hog that microphone. I have a full show tonight, but I've been trying to get him on for the last couple months, last couple shows. He's available tonight. We are going to finish the show with talking about the Skeleton Crew. So have a couple beers in the virtual green room, man, and we will see you soon. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce my guest that has been very, very busy this past holiday season. I think he's busy all the time, actually, making appearances. He is the historian. Now, if you guys go to YouTube and type in anything Rankin Bass and watch all these content creators giving you stories and video, you will always see Rick Goldschmidt's name attached to all this archival footage that they are using for their content. Without further ado, I want to bring on Rick Goldschmidt again. Rick, Happy New Year to you, man.
Happy New Year.
You have a new book that just came out. It did really well. We're celebrating a lot of different anniversaries over a handful of years. This year especially, last year especially, we just celebrated I want to say it was the 60th anniversary of the Rudolph special, correct?
Right. Their first special. Well, their first Christmas special. They did Return to Oz as well that same year in February of 64. So that was 60 also.
What did you do to celebrate Rudolph's 60th? Did you do anything special? And was your book about that anniversary, or can you tell us what that book was celebrating?
Well, my lucky book number 7 celebrates primarily the 50th anniversary of The Year Without a Santa Claus and 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, which are two of their best specials, most beloved specials. But it also has a lot of content on Rudolph and even Mad Monster Party and Frosty, because the girl that did the book with me, Karen Rudd, she works for Remind Magazine, which I write for. And we put some of our articles that we wrote for Remind Magazine in the book and extended them with some new information about Rudolph and Mad Monster Party and so forth. So it's really a celebration of everything Rankin Bass, but primarily The Year Without a Santa Claus, which is a big one that had the Heat Miser and Snow Miser, which are probably their two most famous characters. And 'Twas the Night Before Christmas has an outstanding soundtrack by Maury Laws and Jules Bass. So, I mean, all of these things are really important, especially to the fans. And that's why I've been so busy lately, because the fans kind of dictate how busy I get, and they really like the new book.
You know, it's a great thing. And so Rudolph just hit 60th. That was the first Rankin and Bass special. You said The Year Without a Santa Claus. Did that celebrate the 50th anniversary last year in 2024?
Right. And
10 years later.
10 years after Rudolph. And they took a short story book by Phyllis McGinley and gave it to Romeo Muller, and he created, well, actually, they didn't give it to Romeo Muller. They gave it to another writer, and they created the Heat Miser and Snow Miser and all the things that we know from the specials. So it really has a really strong storyline. And when I was at Schiller Theater this past October, I went and met Barbara Bain from Mission Impossible. And I said to her when I walked up to her, "You're still in the director's seat at the Actors Studio." And she said, "Yeah, we're working on a play about Santa Claus not wanting to go out because everyone's so into their cell phones and everything, they kind of forgot about him." And I said, "That's exactly the story of The Year Without a Santa Claus, which I just wrote my new book about." So, I mean, it has quite a great storyline. But again, the Heat Miser and Snow Miser, whenever I do appearances, I usually bring the mask of the Heat Miser and Snow Miser and put them on my table. And no matter who passes by, it could be a little kid, could be a grandparent. They know the Heat Miser and Snow Miser, and they start singing the song. So,
Yeah.
they're really popular when that happens.
It's funny because I'm taking down my Christmas stuff. It finally started today, and the funny thing is that I have this shirt here, the Heat Miser and Snow Miser shirt, and I feel like this could kind of pass for a year-round shirt, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we go with these two
Yeah.
characters on a 12-month basis.
Yeah, I don't really look at the holidays as just a few weeks. I look at it as a year-round thing because I'm always talking about all of the specials, and I always bring a lot of material from the holidays to put on my table at events and things. So, I mean, people really don't care anymore about. They'll watch the special every day, Rudolph and Frosty. A lot of people tell me this, that they watch them all year long, and I'm like, I don't do that. I talk about them and I do interviews about them, but I don't watch the specials all year long.
Now, do you revisit all the specials at least once a year? Do you have
Yeah,
time for
I
that?
try to because they really do put you into the spirit of the holidays, and if you don't watch them, you're missing something. They just have a lot of heart and warmth, and especially Rudolph for me because it has that 60s simplicity look to it.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of drew me in as an artist. That's what brought me into the world of Rankin Bass was the design and the look of it. And, it has the look of Christmas to me.
Yeah,
So
the look and the sound. Now,
yeah.
does the novelty ever wear off for you with the spirit of the holiday season simply because it is part of your everyday life, really, as the historian? I mean, the Rankin and Bass, you can't have the holidays without them, and vice versa. Do you still does Christmas still excite you, or are you like, you know what, this is just like every other day of the year for you?
Well, when I get real busy, I don't like it because I can't really enjoy the holidays, but I leave my stuff up longer than you. I'll probably leave it up another couple weeks because I really haven't been able to sit down and relax. Uh,
And enjoy
even
it, right?
even today, I've got a lot of things I got to do, a lot of orders I have to pack. So, but it doesn't make me depressed or mad during the holidays. I still love the specials, and I'll still put them on and listen to the music and I mean all the people involved. That's the thing. Maury Laws, who wrote the music, Paul Coker Jr. designed most of them. Arthur Rankin and Jules Bass were very talented guys that knew talent. They knew how to select talent, which is important. The voice actors they got were all great for animation, and that's another thing that they're well known for. And they're really the animators that brought personality to especially stop motion animagic. Um, had Arthur Rankin and Jules Bass not come along, it would have took years for personality to be brought into that art form. They really brought in some people that knew how to really bring the characters to life because I don't think of them as puppets when you watch the shows. They have a distinct character to them that you think about the character and maybe the songs they sang more than you do thinking about them as puppets.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's why we still are celebrating it 60 years later, right?
right. Right. They have they kind of have a personality of their own. In fact, Burl Ives and he did the foreword to my first book, and then I became really good friends with his widow Dorothy. And when he would go on a plane to fly somewhere, all of the passengers and the stewardesses would recognize him as Sam. They wouldn't really recognize him from, the movies that he did or the television things he did
Or all the music that he composed,
or the
right?
music. It was, hey, there's Sam the Snowman. And that's because he brought such a personality to that character that you just
Yeah.
think of him that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I do know that you, like myself, you're a musician, and
Right.
you. Now, I have to ask you: do you perform any of the Rankin Bass music live? And if not, you should.
Occasionally, we played The Mummy from Mad Monster Party. We played I forget the name of the spider song in The Hobbit. We played Holly Jolly Christmas before, and we even did a Wizard of Oz convention in Joliet, Illinois, and we played some of the songs from Return to Oz.
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
so it's kind of fun to bring out some of those short songs from the specials and
Yeah.
play them.
I mean, you really have to incorporate your love of music in with your love of the soundtracks that Laws had written,
Right.
and perform them live yourself. I think that's amazing. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite soundtrack of all the Rankin and Bass specials? Do you have a number one?
Well, Mad Monster Party is up there because it's a jazz soundtrack, and I love
Yeah.
jazz music.
Yes.
And they never really went back into jazz. It was only that movie that they used that style. And Maury told me that, for the theme song, he was mimicking sort of the Goldfinger, the Bond movie that was big in '64. And I like the Bond music and the Bond films. So I think that is what kind of attracts me to that particular soundtrack. And when I asked Maury, because it said in the opening of the film that it was on RCA Victor Records, but it got shelved. And when I asked Maury about it and told him I wanted to have the actual acetate that he had, he was surprised that anybody was interested in it. He was very kind of defensive of it. Like, why would anybody want to hear that? Why do you want that? And I
Because it's amazing
persisted.
music.
I persisted in getting that, and that's how it came out on CD from Percepto Records. He didn't think anybody cared about it, but everybody cares about it. And
Yeah.
I mean, their soundtracks are amazing, and um,
Hands down. Some of the
yeah,
best, you know.
they're if they put all of them together, they could put on one of the best Broadway musicals ever to exist. It's right up there. The music is up there with like Mary Poppins or Oklahoma or anything musical. And they could do a really good. In fact, Maury had a producer come to my home to discuss doing that years ago, because Maury wrote some music for the baseball. Cooperstown had some sort of a musical that Dave Winfield was involved with. And that same producer came to my home and we talked about doing a Rankin Bass musical that never happened, unfortunately, during Maury's lifetime. But I think it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, there has never been a musical based on the Rankin and Bass specials. Not yet, no.
Right, right.
Wow,
There's
I thought
been some
that's amazing.
shoddy ones. that aren't fully licensed, but not a fully licensed, with the estate of Maury Laws and Jules Bass involved.
All right, now who's the mastermind behind this amazing cookie design right here?
That I think that came from, I did an appearance in at Van Eaton Galleries around 2012, and it was a Mad Monster Party show where we had a lot of artists from California display their art, and I think that came either from there or from another event that I did.
Ah, that's amazing. That is art right there. It's almost too good
Right,
to eat, right? Do you have
right.
any shows coming up in the first part of the year that anybody
No,
can?
but I'm doing Carlisle Comic Con in Pennsylvania in October again,
Okay.
and that'll be fun because Marta Kristen from Lost in Space is going to be there, and the big guy from Superman 2, the villain with the beard, he's going to be there. I forget his name, but I love Superman 1 and 2, so
Yeah,
it'll
and a
be,
lot of those guys are getting older, you know.
yeah, I
Uh,
know.
brother Tyler Page chimes in. He said he'd eat those cookies. He ate a lot of Barry's Star Wars cookies at the Star Wars Christmas party this year. And Rick, it was funny because I was going to mention Tyler Page earlier when you were talking about people listening to the music and watching the specials all through the year. To change it up to a Star Wars note here, Tyler was listening to the Christmas in the Stars Star Wars Christmas record. I believe he was listening to it throughout the entire year. Like you said, there's something about the Christmas music that just puts you in a damn good mood. Rick, Star
True.
Wars question for you. What is your favorite Star Wars film? I know we never talked about Star Wars. We always talk about Rankin.
Oh, well, the first film I saw in the theaters a few times when it came out, so that would have to be the one that I like the best. Um, you
How
know,
old were you when the first one came out in
I
1977?
was I was about 12.
So you were at that mind blowing age right there.
Yeah, and I wore the T-shirts with R2D2 and 3CPO,
Yeah,
and I think I had a T-shirt with the movie poster art.
the
So
Iron ones.
yeah, so it was big then, and after that, I kind of knew like it was growing, and whenever they showed it on television, people were lining up like for miles and miles. That kind of turned me off. So I wasn't into it as much after the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I always ask this question to people that are part of franchises, especially as close to a franchise of Rankin Bass as you are. Would you say that Rankin and Bass, being the historian, has it changed your life?
Oh yeah, definitely. It I kind of fell into it. It wasn't something that I planned. So I was going to be an illustrator in the same style that Jack Davis was, sort of a humorous illustrator. And I began talking to Jack Davis and calling him up and trying to pick his brain about how to get into the art world. And it occurred to me that, well, he designed Mad Monster Party. Whatever happened to Arthur Rankin and Jules Bass? And that's what led me into the whole world of Rankin Bass. I called Arthur up on the phone. I said there should be a book. He said send me 2 chapters. I did. He liked them, and then it just kept growing into what it is now. 7 books on Rankin Bass, and I've consulted on so many different projects. A lot of the merchandise, a lot of the Blu-rays and DVDs and figures and all of this stuff. And in fact, the figures and the merchandise never would have happened without my first book, because there was nothing before my book came out. Absolutely nothing on Rudolph, nothing on Frosty, nothing. And Stuffins took my book on a plane to a toy fair in Japan and got the idea, we'll do beanbag dolls and we'll sell them to CVS pharmacies. And that created sort of a frenzy because they released 2 beanbag dolls, which were like Beanie Babies, which were hot at that time. And they did it each week going into Christmas. So, and it was sort of an East Coast phenomenon. The West Coast didn't have CVS pharmacies, so they had to get friends and family to go and buy them and ship them back to California. Then they started putting them on, eBay, and it just grew from that.
I'm assuming this is in the late 90s. This is happening,
Right,
correct?
right. And my book sort of kicked that whole thing into motion. And Stuffins got a hold of me right away, even before they issued those dolls, and they sent me sets of them to sort of approve them, give them advice. And then UNESCO got involved, and they called me up at one of my book signings and had me come out to Itasca, Illinois, and look at their things. And then I helped design and give direction on their Rudolph line and the Peter Cottontail line and so forth. So it just kind of blew up into a much bigger thing than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be one book and then I would keep doing my art, but
yeah, but here you are 7 books later.
Yeah, and I enjoy it still. It's fun because you never know who you're going to run into or meet or what kind of projects you're going to work on. In fact, you brought up music. I heard from one of my favorite musicians this past Christmas because he found out about me through my Rankin Bass books and work. And his name's Mike Viola. I don't know if you know who he is, but he did the singing in That Thing You Do. And
that Thing You Do, yes.
Yeah, and then he has a great solo career. He has a great voice and a great songwriter. So I became friends with him because he found out about me through my Rankin Bass post and said that he loves that. So you never know who you're going to hear from or where it's going to lead, which I always find I'll get a lot of fun out of that,
Yeah, it keeps it fresh and interesting, right?
Yeah, and I meant to say when you brought up Star Wars, when I interviewed Jules Bass, he made a funny comment that when they would produce their movies, they wanted a budget that was like Star Wars, but they would get a budget that was like Thunderbirds.
Oh yeah, yeah, the old UK show.
Right. So they never got the money that it would take to produce a big budget movie, and that was Arthur's. His main goal in life was to make a big budget movie like Star Wars.
Yeah, and he always ended up with the Thunderbirds budget. That is funny, man. Okay, well, I want to thank you for your time, man. Happy New Year, and you know what? We missed that New Year's Eve simply because we did a show early, and we never do shows early. And I know you've been hard at work shipping out those books to everybody. And people can go to etsy.com/shop/Miser Bros. And they can also follow you on Facebook under Rick Goldschmidt. Is that correct?
Right.
Any concerts coming up for you? Are you performing live musically anytime soon?
Not yet, but we're trying to line some things up.
Well, hey, let me know because I would love to attend one of those shows. And you know what? I got to have you on. I always forget about this. I got to have you on in July because we got to talk about the Rankin and Bass Rudolph's Christmas in July special.
Sure. Yeah. And we mentioned about Rudolph's Shiny New Year. And I don't know why they took that off of ABC. They showed it about 5 years ago. And
Okay.
it's just a missed opportunity for them to keep a special on the air. But I was lucky enough to get Maury Amsterdam's last interview. And I talked to Frank Gorshin about it. And Red Skelton's museum came to one of my events and brought all the sheet music from that Red had signed by Jules Bass. So that's another big one, you know, that's timely around this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably got to be my favorite soundtrack is Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Well, Rick, thank you for taking time out of your busy
Sure.
weekend, and I appreciate you as always. We look forward to having you on the show again real soon.
Thank you.
Happy
Sounds
New Year
good.
to you, brother. Take
Happy
care.
New Year.
We'll see you. All right, man. I always love having Rick on. We got to have him on in July. Matthew, you got to make a mental note that we need to do the Rudolph's Christmas in July episode with Rick Goldschmidt. Without further ado, we want to bring on a guest that I've tried to have on a couple last two shows. He actually invited himself onto the show, which I'm okay with that because he's a brother. But I said we have limited time because we have a lot to get through on this show. But tonight was the final performance of the Blue Man Group in Chicago, going back to 27 years ago, 1997. Brother Sean Hines. Sean.
Oh, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Yes, I came away from the show with some of the streamers that they dump on the audience, so I figured I would best to come onto the show and say Happy New Year with some Blue Man streamers and have some fun with that.
Hey, you know, and I appreciate that. How many times did you see the show when it was in Chicago? I got a chance to see it 3 times. How about you?
You know, it's one of those things that I wished I would have seen a lot more, but honestly, this was only the second time I've seen it. The first time was actually when me and my wife Lisa were first dating. It was one of our first dates that we ever went on. And we always said we got to go back and see it again. And when they added new stuff to the show, oh, we got to go see it, and it just never came about. And then they announced the final performance. Well, we got to figure out some way to make it happen. And as it turned out, as fate would have it, I ended up winning tickets at a charity raffle. So off we went. Yes. At it was
now, there was a lot of time that passed, obviously, since the first time you saw it and today. It looks like you had VIP today. You won VIP.
I did. It was VIP for the second. It was the second to the last performance. Today was the last day that they're going to be in Chicago. They had 2 performances, one at 1 o'clock, one at 2 o'clock, or one at 1 o'clock and one at 4 o'clock. But the VIP was only available at the 1 o'clock show, and that was what was included in the prize that I won. And the VIPs only go out to 10 people per show, and I was fortunate enough to be part of that, and that includes.
You have a horseshoe so far up your ass that you pull out every time. Of course, you made it on the news, you know, and
I got interviewed by Channel 5 and Channel 7 News, and I've already saw the segment that was featured on Channel 5. They put the whole focus of the story on me and Lisa, and we'll see if we make it on Channel 7 tonight when 10 o'clock comes about. After the show, we get to go backstage, meet a Blue Man, get a picture with him, and then also get a Blue Man autograph. If you ever wonder what a Blue Man autograph looks like, this is what a Blue Man autograph looks like. It's basically they kiss the VIP badge and then they cover it with a piece of tape so that it doesn't rub off. And then there you go. There's that is a Blue Man Group autograph right there. I also
That is
walked
awesome.
away. Now, for those music lovers, I also walked away with some authentic, stage-used Blue Man Group drumsticks.
Of course you did.
Good
That is
stuff.
unbelievable, man.
And you can see that the paint is still on there. Some Blue Man paint and some drum paint.
Yeah, that was sad to hear that they were closing shop in Chicago after all these years. And
in New York as well.
So is there no more Blue Man Group at all right now?
There's still Vegas, and there might be one other. There might be one other one.
New York was the first one, right?
New York was the first one back in 1991, and then Chicago opened shortly thereafter.
Yeah, 6 years after. Amazing.
There used to be one. There used to be one at Universal Studios Orlando in the Islands of Adventure side. But that closed. I forget how many years ago it was. Now it's been closed for quite a while yet. But it was.
Yeah,
in
and of
Atlanta
course
for
they
a while.
were on the tour. I know Moby. I want to say Moby had a festival that was touring in the 90s, and Blue Man Group was part of that. The Blue Man Group were huge for a good amount of time. I'm sad to see them go. I really am. It's one of those things where I saw it 3 times. It would have been nice to see the final show today, but I don't believe I wanted to feel the sadness of sending them off, because the last time I saw them, we were in the front row. We had the ponchos on, and I was with my daughter, and I don't want to replace it with the moment of sadness. I wanted to at least say, you know what? Farewell to the Blue Man Group. I'm glad I went 3 times. I'm glad that you went on the last day, and I thank you for sharing the story.
Yeah, it's a great show. The energy had not dwindled at all. They put on just as amazing show as they did today, as they probably did day one, and the audience was loving every second of it. And if you hadn't seen this show, it's a shame. You still have chances in, or at least Vegas that I know of. If you're ever there and the opportunity comes out, do not let it slip by, because this is this thing that they put together was lightning in a bottle, and it was definitely a cultural phenomenon, and it definitely had the staying power.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, I'm gonna have you stay on the show and share. I gotta say, share the microphone with my producers today. We are going to be talking about Skeleton Crew with Matthew Rooney and brother Rich Brendel. So, talking about Skeleton Crew, man, we had so much to talk about on the show today. Matthew and Rich, I got to start with you guys. What was your takeaway from how many episodes? 5 or 6 episodes we've seen so far? I lost count because I binge watched them all.
6.
Yeah,
6. Matthew, what was your takeaway, man?
I just really enjoy it because it's got like hints of Star Wars familiar things in it. Like it starts off, of course, on this planet where it's really unfamiliar, and then we kind of figure out as we go along why it's unfamiliar, because it's cut off from the rest of the universe. But what I really like about it is that it kind of stands on its own. It's got like little hints of things in there, like you see X-Wings a little bit here and there. But it kind of reminds me of how George, after he did the original trilogy, he went off and did his Ewok films, and I think he talked, at times about wanting to have some kind of a place for his friends, who were filmmakers, to come and have a sandbox to play in. And I think that's like, this is the kind of thing that I could see coming out of that. Like, you have these creators coming in and enjoying their time in the Star Wars universe and doing something that's kind of independent and on its own. And I've kind of come to dislike how over the last 15 years or so, there's this, like, I assume it comes from Marvel, this formula where everything has to connect together and follow this, and you have to watch 50 different movies to understand what's going on. And it's really cumbersome, and it's nice just to have something that's free of a lot of baggage. And maybe somebody from this will show up in another show, but even if it doesn't, it's just enjoyable by itself.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And you know what? You chimed in on Patreon today. I posted a microcast about my initial take on this because it was really the first ever television show, is what I like to still refer to these Star Wars projects as. You said that why do we even need to talk about the bigotry and the sexism towards these shows? Because as we know, I want to say Acolyte was canceled simply because, and I think this is a weak cop out on Disney. They said people did not like the show. I love that fucking show. I was disappointed to hear that they canceled it, but you're absolutely right. When we talk about the people that hate Star Wars, there's a handful of them out there. We are letting the terrorists win. So I just want to thank you for bringing up that thought, because sometimes I have a hard time letting go of the people that hate it because they bother me so much that it's hard for me to watch a show thinking, oh shit, everybody's going to hate this. Well, why are they going to hate it? Because they have this, and this. But on the other hand, and on the other fact, I absolutely love this show. The only thing I would complain about, and it's not even a complaint, I felt a little removed from the demographic a little bit, simply because I felt like the main characters are kids. Well, we were all kids. We're still big kids at heart. I do want to say that the acting from the child actors is absolutely phenomenal. It is absolutely amazing. This show looks, feels, and sounds like Star Wars to me. This is right up there with the other ones. I love them all, man. I love them all, and that's just the kind of fucking fan I am, man. I really can't say it differently than that. So after I appreciated right from the get-go, even though I was removed from the age group with the kids, I'm like, I remember watching Goonies. I remember feeling like a kid. Feeling like a kid when I watch E.T. to this day. And isn't that what Star Wars kind of does to us and for us? It makes us feel like we're kids again. I think that's part of the charm and why we keep coming back.
I mean, I personally don't, just because the kids, I mean, I'm a parent, and I mean, like, my kids have outgrown these kids already. And so I find them a little more frustrating, I think, than like relating to them. But that's just like me being a parent and having kids, so like sometimes they do things that frustrate me, and like I wish they would do things better. And as I'm watching the show as a parent, I kind of feel that way with these kids too. I'm like, if they would just stop,
Yeah,
of course,
you're
that's
like being a helicopter parent. Too,
yeah.
I was a little disappointed because I told my daughter, I said, look, there's kids in this show. There's girls in this show. I said, will you please watch this TV show with me? And she goes, Daddy, it's Star Wars. And she just doesn't want to fucking watch it. Again, it goes back to that Toys R Us commercial with the dad having the girl, raising the girl up. And then that one moment, he finds her in the aisle with the lightsaber in the air. I'm waiting for that moment. Unfortunately, Danielle did not bite on the skeleton crew with me. She would rather play Roblox.
Yeah, but there's still time, because just tonight my son came to me and said, I want to watch the Ahsoka show with you because he hasn't seen it. And I said, okay, well, we'll watch it after I finish with Chris's YouTube show.
Yeah, I want to go back and rewatch all those too. And I think I don't like the fact that these shows leave us hanging, but Brother Rich Breno made a really profound comment, which is very, very true. That's what Star Wars always did to us. It always left us hanging. It always left things unanswered. It's one of those things. Tyler says he's got to listen to Mock break down why he loves the Acolyte. You know what? We will get back into that after I give it a rewatch. We did an Acolyte show on Machtails quite a few months ago, but it would be nice to rewatch that and yeah, give it to you straight, specifically the breakdowns, not just the love fest. Rich, how do you feel about the Skeleton Crew? Where did it leave you at with your Star Wars fandom?
I really like it. I mean, it's simple and refreshing, it feels like. We kind of needed a little bit of a palate cleanser. I really feel like one of the big reasons and some fans might not like this because I'm kind of calling them stupid, but a lot of times with these other Star Wars shows, people haven't liked them because they don't like to think. And with this, it's a lot simpler.
That's society today.
yeah. We live in an instant gratification society where we don't want to think. We just want to be entertained. And I like to think. So, I think it's been nice that there hasn't been hardly any like real fandom drama with it.
Well, that's always good to hear that there's not fandom drama.
Yeah. There hasn't been anything major there or anything. Whereas, like with Acolyte, every single week there was some idiot that posted, about they had something to complain about,
Yeah, and it's good to know that people are not complaining about this. I will tell you, Rich, you said that Skeleton Crew makes you think, yes?
No, Skeleton Crew's simple.
Yes.
It's simple. I mean, you can just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I felt
But
that way.
There are other things that kind of hint at some lore that we don't really know much about, which is interesting too.
It's funny because I'm not super tapped into the comic books and all the video games and all the novels and all that shit. I'm always, and I know some of you guys, Tyler has mentioned this before. He goes, "Man, you never watched the Clone Wars?" He goes, "That just sounds like such a pure thing about your fandom that you're only like, you're only films, only the trilogy movies." Sometimes when I watch this stuff, though, these TV shows, I'm like, not with this one, because I thought this one was simple in the purest and most positive form. It was just, I hate to use the word, but people say popcorn movies. This is a popcorn television show.
Yeah, exactly.
I sometimes I feel like I might be disconnected from it because I'm not piped in to all the other facets aside from the movies or from the TV shows themselves. I feel like I might be missing the big picture, but I still feel like I can enjoy it just as much. Sometimes even a little bit more. Sean, what was your takeaway on this? We didn't even talk about this at the Christmas party because I said nobody talk about this show because I have not seen it yet. I binged it, like I said, on New Year's Day. I was very, very late to the party, but I really recommend anybody that could binge a Star Wars show. I don't like this fucking old school 1970s week-to-week bullshit. I prefer sitting down and just devouring it all as it is a long movie. Sean?
Well, I am enjoying the ride and of the popcorn show, as you described it, or a refreshing break from the fan nonsense, regardless of whatever side you are on those issues. There's been some missteps in the realm of storytelling. This is definitely filmed with the style in which this story is being told is definitely loaded with 80s movie member berries, for lack of a better term. You see something in the show, oh, that makes me think of Goonies. You see, oh, that makes me think of E.T. Oh, that makes me think of The Last Starfighter, which is not a bad thing. It's just like, as Rich may have said, simple storytelling for purely entertainment value, and that is not a bad thing. And I think the fact that this show is being received the way that it is a testament to that. We are not getting the weekly bitch fests from certain fractions of fans regarding this particular show. So yeah, in a sense, like Rich is right, it's a bit of a palate cleanser from what we've had to ingest from previous shows, good, bad, or indifferent, however you view those shows. I always say enjoy what you like and just move on with your life, and you can still have discussions and not get vitriol about it. But this show, I like the characters. I think Jude Law is playing his character, taking it very seriously. He's not phoning it in. He's making him an interesting character that you want to learn more about, that you want to see where it goes. Who is he really? What's his motivations and what's really going on? And what is his real damn name, for crying out loud? We've heard about 6 different names in 6 different episodes. So it's that sort of storytelling that's it's it's interesting. It's keeping it interesting in a good way. Same thing with the kids, like you said. The kids are all putting on A plus performances, and they're not trying to be adults. They're kids. They're being kids, playing kids, doing what kids think, doing what kids do, and we can all relate to touching the button we were told not to touch, and trying to be tough when we know we're really not, and not being afraid to to not say I don't want to do this kind of thing, and their whole gang's already going along for the ride. So yeah, it's also something that I feel, if you've not watched any Star Wars shows, you could jump into this and just enjoy it for what it is, not seeing anything else prior. That's what sets it apart, I think, from what we've been given thus far. It's a great show. Definitely recommend.
My mother-in-law watched it with me, and she's not super big on Star Wars. She doesn't hate it, but I felt like she was able to watch this easily. Now, Law's character, I want to say, reminds me of Obi-Wan and Han Solo, and I think I wasn't disappointed with the character, but I know a lot of people were. Del Toro's character from Episode 8, was his name? I want to say it was JD, right? Was it JD?
I don't remember, and that maybe speaks to
DJ.
DJ. Yeah,
it was DJ.
and I actually like the character.
This character that Jude Law is performing reminds me of, they kind of picked up where they left off, and they're going on this mysterious scoundrel character. But I got to tell you, man, as you guys know, not to sound dirty about it, but I get off on the Jedi Knight stuff. That was why I liked Acolyte. I know Tyler wants me to give a breakdown. Maybe I will get to that this year. But you give me Jedi. I had a science professor say, I don't care how bad Jurassic Park 3 is. You put real life dinosaurs, you put CGI dinosaurs on the screen that look real life. I don't give a shit how bad the story is. I am seeing dinosaurs. And I feel like that about Jedi. It's like you put in the mystery of the Guardians of the Whills in Rogue One with Baze and Chirrut. You give Jude Law this character that has Force sensibility. I am all jacked up about, wow, we are still getting the mystery of the Jedi Knight. I got to say, that was probably the most appealing thing about this show to me, was simply my love of Jedi. It was obviously displayed in Jude Law's character. Well, what do we got? We got 2 episodes left of Skeleton Crew.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe so.
That sounds
But
right.
you can't don't forget that it's really cool that Jude Law's character. You talked about him being a combination of characters. Don't forget the Lando Calrissian shirt that he's wearing. Yeah, also.
Yeah, right. yeah. And you know what? The thing about this show, Sean, you mentioned it reminds us of cool things about the 80s. I feel like it's a throwback to the stuff that we loved in the 80s without it being, like fabricated nostalgia. I feel like it's kind of pure and genuine from the display
as opposed to
from the show.
Yeah, pure and genuine as opposed to pandering.
Yeah, right. Or pandering and fabricating. It's like you can't fabricate that shit and have it turn out as good as this did. Again, this was a fun ride. Yeah, not a lot of investment. Didn't make you think. Very, very much like the old days of Star Wars, right?
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Complicated thing, man. It went back to the roots, and not to take away anything from the shows and the films that have come before Skeleton Crew, but I went into this like I went into Rogue One. 0 expectations. I didn't even watch the trailer for this fucking thing. I just knew thing was on Disney Plus.
I think you touched on something there. I think a lot of people, because of all the good and bad conversations that took place over the course of the last so many shows, most definitely went into the show with the lowest of expectations because we've been, disappointed. A good percentage has been disappointed so many times that they've almost given up. Yeah, in certain cases, I've been fall into that category here and there, but it's Star Wars. I'm never gonna give up on Star Wars. I don't care what they come up with. I'm always gonna give everything a shot. So I think you're right. The bar was set pretty low, and even if this is just a mid show, it's hitting all the good spots.
Yeah, I cannot not say amen to that. I mean, I think that's you said it perfectly well there. I will always love Star Wars no matter what we get. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. I love some Star Wars more than others, but I don't. I'm like Matthew. I don't hate any of this shit. I'm glad we're getting it. What I don't like about Disney is that they're like, hey, we're coming out with these 50 shows. I'm like, whoa. Let's do one at a time. Let's not announce everything, before we even go to the fucking meeting room and draw some storyboards.
I don't need to know the to-do list for 20 years from now. Let's just focus on within the next year or so here. And then we'll talk about the next. Let's do one thing, then the next thing. Let's not announce 10 things and then you only end up with one because of whatever happens.
Right. We don't need 50 years of commitment. We've already been there for 50 fucking years, practically.
It becomes a little boy who cried wolf thing at some point.
It really does, because I know they've announced some shows and they've taken them away, and a lot of people are disappointed with that. I kind of treat the Star Wars announcements very much like I do the hot stove season of baseball. It's, as my wife calls it, it's like little girls in the locker room chatting about shit that's not even true. It's all rumors. It's like, you know what? I'll see it when I believe it, and I'm glad we got Skeleton Crew. Now, I did see something online that we are getting. The only TV show that we're getting this year, aside from 2 more episodes of Skeleton Crew, is Andor season 2.
Hell yeah.
That's all we're getting, right?
Yeah.
But that's okay, because that's all we need, right?
Yeah, Andor was so good.
It's funny. That is a good thing. I had a funny thing come to mind when you were talking about all the announcements and things getting canceled. The only thing that came to mind was Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at the end of the movie. How could you build up a little boy's dreams like that and then smash him to pieces? You're an inhuman monster.
It's when I'm looking at a chart that is as big as the MLB teams and it's all Star Wars projects. 1, I don't want all that at once, and 2, I don't want to know what's going to happen after I fucking die. I don't want to know what I want to miss out on,
Yeah, when I die, I want to die knowing that I think I saw all the Star Wars that they're going to make. There's nothing coming out after me.
Exactly. Hey, well, while we're on that subject, why don't we talk about what we're looking forward to the most in 2025. I got a couple things that I want to mention. We got Nashville. Sean, you need to get to Nashville this year. Matthew, you will be there along my side. I'm looking forward to celebrating my 50th at Disney World. Looking forward to a new Tampa Bay Rays experience because they do not have the Trop. And I'm looking forward to going to Ireland in June. You guys have something you want to share?
You're going to Ireland?
I'm going to Ireland, yes, because my wife's good friend, she's her grandparents live there, and she's like, you need to come when I'm out there, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So that's our big trip this year.
Nice.
You guys,
you'll have to find the Heinz Castle while you're out there. There is one out there.
I will add that to the list, and I'll put that right next to the Star Wars stuff that I have to do when I'm out there.
You should take a shit in the Heinz Castle.
Sean, you might actually like that if I took a shit in the Heinz Castle.
Hey, mark your territory, bro. Hey, the mock man was in the house.
Rich, what are you looking forward to most 2025?
I don't know.
Putting you on the spot here.
The unexpected, yeah. And
hopefully going out to the Sphere. Hopefully going out to the Sphere this year, right?
Hopefully. I want to. I am looking for, even if I don't, I'm looking forward to more amazing, like, Grateful Dead videos from there, you know? So
There's always YouTube, you know?
yeah, exactly. Like
Always
they have a
YouTube.
lot of good stuff on YouTube on that, and but it's nothing like being there. And yeah, I want to go back there this year, and it's looking like I just analyzed my finances a little bit, and it looks like it's very doable. I just need to do my taxes to make sure.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. Because after Christmas takedown, it's tax prep fucking month.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you being a contract worker, you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, you got anything on the 2025 bucket list you're looking forward to this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to go back to ICC Con again. It'll be my third one this year. I already booked a room, and we applied for our press passes again, so hopefully we'll get those. I'm super excited for Andor season 2. I loved the first Andor. I think it's my favorite Star Wars show that they've done, and so I'm really excited to see season 2 of that. And then I have a new research project that I'm starting. I finished up what I was doing for the last 3 or 4 years, and I have a new project that I'm doing related to Hernando de Soto in Arkansas that I'm getting going on, and I got some grants that I'm going for, and so I'm excited to get on that project and get underway with it. I've kind of wrapped up my old project that I was doing on this plantation, and it's kind of done. I've written everything up, and so I'm excited for the new car, I guess, is is the equivalent of research.
The new car and the new car smell, right?
Yeah.
Heinz, what about you, man? You got anything on the bucket list that you're looking forward to crossing off?
Other than cleaning up the crap in the Heinz Castle that you left, I guess I'm going to have to. I would love to go to the ICC, and if Lord be willing, I'll be there. But I actually have to stay focused on my original goal. But when we talked about this, of trying to get my wife to her Paris vacation that she's always wanted, that we just have never been able to put together for her. She's put up with enough. She deserves it, and I need to work towards that. And I'm going to do extra hard working on that this year, decluttering our condo, and so that we can actually get a house for ourselves and be able to get a lot of that stuff that you filmed in my storage trailer out on display, because it ain't doing anything for anybody in that storage trailer. It needs to breathe. It needs to be seen. So yeah, my goals are just pay down the debt, get the wife to Paris, work on getting a house.
Sean, those are some fucking goals, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Sean? Perfect segue. How's everybody? Now, Matthew, I know you don't need the government calendar to tell you what to do and when not to do it. But how's everybody doing on their New Year's resolution so far on the 5th day of January? Can anybody chime in? Anybody?
I'm doing fantastic. I am doing fantastic because I didn't make any.
Hey, like Matthew.
Yeah, I didn't resolve to do anything, so I'm doing it.
Hey, amen to that. Rich, how about you? You want track?
Yeah, well, I actually, since we spoke last, I actually kind of made a new one. I kind of want to get a little bit more organized in the house, my room's been a shit show for a while, so I'm gonna be organizing that this year and doing all that and remaining organized. So that's a big one for me.
And it's funny because Rich and I just did a podcast episode yesterday, so that kind of came out of
so this has been real soon. Like I even just last night got a TV stand and new dresser for my room, so that'll make it a lot easier to get organized.
Now,
yoga.
Brother Tyler says yoga. Brother Tyler, you got to jump on his fitness goal for 2025 because he has been hard at work at the gym, very much like Rich and I. Health things are always.
I could probably fit do a little bit of that myself.
Those are some hard goals to stay focused on. Now, here's the thing: my New Year's resolution was not to have a dry January, but to cut back on drinking and only drink on the weekends. I was good for the first 2 days, and then Friday came on the 3rd. Today's Sunday. I got 4 days. You know what? I told my wife, I said, I'm going to miss alcohol for the next 4 days. She's like, okay, Homer Simpson. Gotta see how that goes.
Proof her wrong, man.
Brother Brad Riverdale is going to keep me in check, and I think Brother Rich Brendel as well. Hey, before we end the show, I do want to just mention, since this is the first show of the year, and Matthew, again, thank you for keeping us on track. Thank you for scheduling this show so early instead of the last day of the month. I really
now you can relax.
Man, I love it when the producers not only fund the campaign, if you will, but when they take creative control, and that's exactly the kind of producer that I really, really treasure and enjoy. People that are like, hey, we should do this, we should do that. Yes, because 5 years of doing this shit, I'm going to fucking run out of steam. And it's people like you, Rich, and you, Matthew, that are going to keep the train on track. And I cannot thank you both enough. We have some anniversaries coming up. We got the Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary. 20 fucking years ago. It feels more like 5 years ago.
Yeah, my daughter's turning 20. She was born that year.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I got the Force Awakens 10th anniversary, which my daughter was born in 14, so she was 1 at the time. I remember going to Meyer when she was 1. They had all this Force Awakens photo ops there. I got a couple of those with her there. And, of course, Brother Bo will always remind us of opening night, The Force Awakens, because I saw that with him. Grateful Dead turns 60.
Yeah.
Rudolph turned 60 last year. You know what also turns 60 at the end of the year? Charlie Brown Christmas celebrates its big 60th.
And Popeye is now public domain. Do whatever you want with him. You can't get sued.
They're going to make a horror movie like Winnie the Pooh?
Yes, it's already in production. It's called Popeye the Slayer Man.
You can't make that up.
No, that is for real.
There's a trailer for it.
Why does everybody
I thought it was a joke too.
why does everybody have to go to horror or porn when things are in the public domain? I don't understand. This is a fucked up world that we live in.
Yeah.
For God's sake. I do want to end with 2 notes. I told you we had a lot to get through on the show tonight. The Nintendo sale. And this is important for you gamers. Matthew, this is important for you and I. Nintendo Switch has an online store. They give away shit during this time of the year. That ends tonight. I need to make sure I buy the Battlefront package because it's like 30% off. That ends tonight. So for those of you that like Nintendo and you're like, oh shit, I forgot about that sale. Now is the time. But if you're watching this on a replay, you fucking lost out on that.
Well, just a tip for you on the Switch. Those sales rotate, so if you miss it, it'll probably be on sale again in a couple months. Just to keep it in your wish list, and it'll come up again.
So they're always having sales, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, like I have tons of stuff in there, and like every couple months it'll come on sale again, and so
yeah. And one thing also that you can do, if you sign up for like GameStop's rewards, it's like $15 a year, and you get like a $5 credit each month, and you can actually go on and buy like a $10 Nintendo gift card for $5 with the it's not one where you can bank that credit each month, but you get a $5 store credit each month. So you definitely make up the $15 that you pay per year.
And I'm going to end it on a little bit of a Debbie Downer note, but I know it's January. It's a very, very depressing month. The days are short and the nights are long. We're taking down the holiday decorations. I found out today for the first time, speaking about the Charlie Brown 60th coming up at the end of this year, Peter Robbins, he was the voice of Charlie Brown, the first voice actor. He struggled with mental health problems. I did not realize that he took his own life on January 18th back in 2022. I think I would have remembered that. And when I was looking up these anniversaries of these Christmas shows that we love so much. I was surprised that I did not know that. So remember, people, if you're hurting, reach out. I lost my cousin Mike last May. I lost my dad to suicide when I was 7. Depression is real, and all you got to do is reach out, and hopefully you can find help that way. But I want to thank all my producers. I want to thank all my Patreon supporters. I want to thank my guests, Rick Goldschmidt and brother Sean Hines, for tuning in. And remember, if you go to the link in the YouTube description of this show, I am giving away a small handful of 1-month memberships for free on this show that is going to be celebrating its 5th anniversary. Again, I could not do this show without my producers. I thank you so much. I am your show host, Chris Mock, and we will catch you guys next time on another episode of Mocktails from the Cantina Live. Be well, be safe, and it's not too late to stick to your New Year's resolutions, even if you failed. So long, everybody.